Kris here, and oh, doesn't say I'm live yet, so give it a second. Hi everybody, it's Crafty Kris here. I have been playing after my last Learning Live. I thought I would want to see what happens when you mix all this stuff with the ice ink products, and boy did I have fun. Now, fluffy stuff, depending on which ice ink product you use, you do have fluffy stuff tends to add a white base to things. So that happens in general with everything. So on this particular play, I have ice. These are all ice products. So I have copper ice, and I think that's raspberry ice, if I'm not mistaken, and the purple ice. I can't remember the names. So this one this purple ice has been mixed with fluffy stuff, and you can see the texture there. It's pretty cool, so it works fine. This is still pretty soft with the ice. The ice isn't thick enough because it's supposed to be like very thin to give it body. So this is still spongy. So you want to be careful what you would use that for. Now this is just I think this is the sand. No, sand texture is next. And then I mixed. Oh, sorry. This is. Oh, now I've lost my pattern here. I don't know what they are. I had so much fun. I think these are all mixes. That looks like ice and maybe gesso, and then this is ice and gesso, which is harder. So between the two, if you look at me squishing it here, this doesn't really have any squishability, but on this side, I can really flatten that out. See how that's now gone flat? And oh, it doesn't come back. Oh yeah, I can play around with it to make it come back, so it's back now. But, you know, if you're using it for cards, make sure you have a base in it and it makes it nice and stiff. So that's an idea if you're doing cards and you're doing winter scenes and things. Put a little gesso or something to give it some body so that it doesn't break up if it gets smushed in a card. So that was my ice technique. And you can see that, like I said, the fluffy stuff makes it more soft to touch. This one was with so I have ices in the back again. I think I have the whiskey and the silver and more of the purple. And this time I've put sand texture paste on top. So that's just plain ordinary sand on top. And then this one is sand mixed with fluffy stuff. Now, it doesn't make it, again, you can see that I can push in my thing. So the body of the sandy stuff is too thin to make this hard, but you do get an additional bit of texture in all those open spaces. So wherever it's flat, it won't go shiny. Sorry, trying to focus. There we go. It won't go shiny. It will have the sandy texture on all those flat spots. So that was kind of cool. And then I mixed a color in with the sand. So I used the whiskey and sand mixed together, and that gives you a really cool kind of texture, and it's very shiny. So the whiskey ice and the shininess from the sand both together make it a very shiny product and very hard. Now this is all three mixed together. So I have ice, whiskey ice, sand, and fluffy stuff. And if you look really closely, I'm trying to be able to focus this. Maybe here. Oh, there we go. You can see still the sand in the fluffy stuff. Plus now you have the color of the whiskey ice, and it's still soft to the touch. It's still puffy, like you can see it push out. So again, the body of this base, the sand base, is not dense enough to make these hard, but they're still really cool. And you can see you can certainly mix colors with this and then add fluffy stuff afterwards for neat textures. This one was the pearls. And so on the background I have green pearl, turquoise pearl, red pearl. And I just put a layer of beads on top. So this is the bead base. And it's very textural because it has those actual beads in it. Makes it difficult to use stencils, but because the beads don't want to stay nicely within the compartments, but it's a great texture all on its own. And now look at the bead texture mixed with fluffy stuff. Like, it is really mountainous. Like, let me see what I can show you here. So if you look at the creamy texture of that one or that one versus the multiple popping texture of this one, those beads really add quite a dense packing of little elements. So you've got all your fluffy stuff, but it's more pointy. It's not as round and fluffy. Now on this side, I have the turquoise pearls mixed in with some pearl beads, and that's a kind of neat texture. And when you're doing that, like, it does spread out more. It's not as compact as just having a splash of them. But then I also put all three together, and now we have beads, pearly, and the fluffy stuff. Now the thing about this is that the pearly mixed in softens down all those really rigid pointy bits. So it's now gone back to a softer finish. You can see the beads in there, and adds to the texture, but the bubbles are softer, whereas on this side with the beads and just the fluffy stuff, it's very pointy. So that was kind of cool to learn. And this is another pearl version, and this is with flaky stuff. So there's the flaky up in the corner. You can see all the flakes just on its own. When you mix that with fluffy stuff on its own, you kind of lose the flakes a little bit. You can still see them if you look carefully, but the fluffy stuff tends to raise over top of them, so it's kind of not much of anything. However, it is a bit stiffer with this because these flakes have more density to them. So this is a lot better maybe for mailing or anything that's going to squish. So then I took the blue, the light blue pearly, and I mixed it in with the flakes, and you can see the flakes all lining up there. And then I mixed all three together, and you can see the sorry, you can't see it because it won't. There we go. You can see the flakes in amongst the fluffy stuff, which is cool. So you get a better look at the flakes here than you did down here, because they do exist. Like even right on that corner there, you can see those flaky bits. And you got the fluffy and you got the color. The color, of course, hasn't changed because it was a pale blue initially anyway. And this is much denser. And the plateaus and things don't come up as little bubbles. They tend to come up as long, flat shapes, because I think the flaky being flat and longer and has a tendency to raise that whole thing up at once. So that's kind of cool. And then I did it with sparkle. So I've got the rose eggplant sparkle on here, and I've got the red pearly, and I've got purple ice on there. And so it's kind of a whole different ball game. So I mixed the glitter in with the fluffy stuff, and so it is a little bit harder. you can, it's much easier to get thinner, smaller lines than it was with the others, because the others, the actual stuff that was mixed into it had a tendency to flatten it and make it wider. Now, as far as sparkle, you don't really get the sparkle. The sparkle kind of gets lost in the fluffy stuff, which is, you know, that's neither here nor there, but just to know that you're not going to get glitter. But what you do get is this very, very spattery looking color. Let's see what I could do to get that. Whoa, there you go. So it looks almost like granite. There's all the little sparkles have become like little black or dark spots in it. So that changes it and makes it kind of cool. So it's got a bit of a pinky hue to it, a purpley hue to it, and then all these little tiny spots. And where it does hit the surface, there is sparkle, but the majority of it is not sparkly. So just so you know that. And this is one did I do that one? Yes, I did. And this is a play I did with, I did this with oxide ink, and I've got pearl, and I've got ice in here. I've done all kinds of things. Fluffy stuff is in here as well. So I just created the fluffy stuff. I put just in the center of the what do you call it? The flower I was using. Let me show you the flower here. So this is my template that I used. Okay, you can see that they're the same. And I filled the center section. I first did the outside round with the Eyes Ink Pearly Yellow, and then I went in and did the center section with a mix of the yellow and the fluffy stuff, and that turned out really well. But then I went back in and I took the mustard glaze, or the whiskey glaze, and I added some detail and color, and that mooshed things down a little bit and helped to darken some of this area. And this was all done on white background, so there was no color in the background at the beginning and along here. And then I sprayed the Stormy Sky oxide in the background and added water just to the bottom section and left the top section spattery, and it pooled in there and created some grays, which was really great. And then I pulled out some oxide, let's see, I did vintage and espresso, and I went over these little bumps with vintage, and some of the ink fell down in there as well and created some swirls. And then I went over the top with espresso just to give those bits of the top to really pop out. So that was fun. And then here I just played with distress inks and moving things around with water, and this is just done with the pearly. But I really love how the fluffy stuff mixed in with the ice and mixed in with the yellow pearl really allowed me to get some cool kind of layers happening there, and mixing brands, you know, like I've got the distress line in here, and I've got the Eyes Ink line in here, and then I have the Cosmo, what is it, Cosmic, bad brain. But anyway, so like I said, 3 different companies of product to make this one picture, and this is how you want to do it. You want to have your stuff. You don't want to isolate your stuff just to one product line, and you're only going to use that product line in that particular piece of art. You want to make sure that you're using as much of everything you have to create what it is that you want to see here. So this is just a little bit of fun, an afternoon of playing around and getting messy, and I totally love it with the Eyes Ink product, because the Eyes Ink product brings a second layer to it, which is the shine. You know, when you have things mixed up, you get the shine happening and the pearling happening. even the glitter to a certain extent. Like I'm looking at it here and I can see glitter there, but it's not enough for me to be like draw my eye. But I love the way that the glitter in the texture gives it that granity look. So, you know, just a bunch of things to think about when you're using your products. And, you know, fluffy stuff is not just for Santa's beard. And that's my main purpose in playing around with these. So have a great day. Just thought I'd pop in. Bye now.